On this one, since we know tener means to have, you might be able to gather the meaning of it on your own. Instead of it is necessary to, this one means to have to. It's to have. When you add in all that, it means to have to do whatever that infinitive verb is that you put in. Let's say you have to read a book. So we're going to say informal you, which is to. You. We're going to find to on our conjugation chart. Would happen to come from right there. Tú tienes. Notice that we have conjugated tener. Tú tienes, put in K. Now we need an infinitive verb. I said you have to read a book, so we're looking for to read. That verb is leer. Tú tienes que leer a book instead of the book. The indefinite article is un, single masculine, libro. Now notice, you don't know how to conjugate leer yet, but here's the beauty, you don't have to. You don't have to know how to conjugate verbs to use them with this process because you keep them as the infinitive. But you do have to know how to conjugate tener. One more example for that one and we'll move to the last option. Let's say we have to arrive on time. In order to say we, and because I didn't specify guys or girls, we'll just assume the masculine. We're going to say we as nosotros. Nosotros. Find nosotros over here. It's going to fall right there. We will use tenemos. Nosotros. Tenemos. Now we need que. Nosotros tenemos que. The infinitive verb to arrive is llegar. Remember we have llevar with a V and llegar. Make sure you know the difference. And on time is a tiempo. Nosotros tenemos que llegar a tiempo. We conjugated tener to match the subject, and then we put in an infinitive after que. Conjugate, conjugate, que, infinitive, infinitive. We've got one more to do. This last one is the one that your book doesn't give you. It assumes that somewhere in the process of reading the dialogo you'll just pick it up, but I want to make sure that you do. You have this verb in your vocabulary right now. The verb is necesitar. Necesitar means to need, and with this one, you won't need to put in the word que. Not at all, and you shouldn't put it in. You just go straight to the infinitive verb. So conjugate necesitar to match up with your subject, and then add your infinitive verb. And one more time, an infinitive is not conjugated, doesn't match a subject, and ends in AR, ER, or IR. No conjugation. Just conjugate necesitar. This one, since we know necesitar means to need, and I'm going to write above to save space here, it means to need to do whatever the infinitive verb is. We'll do a couple examples of that too. I'm going to first have us say, I need to study for Spanish class. Hint, hint. So we need to put in I, which is yo. And we should probably look really quickly here at our AR verb endings. You might recall the song where we sing it. Take off the end, o, as, a. Ambos eyes on. Con un acento. That's how you conjugate an AR verb. O, as, a, amos, ice, on. That's how you conjugate an AR verb. Now we're going to use it with necessitar. Yo is the subject. Necessitar is the verb. Take off that ending, and O is the new ending. Yo necesito. Now we need to say to study. Estudiar means to study, and we're saying for the class of Spanish. Remember, we flip it and say the class of Spanish. To say for, when you say for a purpose, which we're doing, you'll say para. And then the Spanish class, the class of Spanish, la clase de español. And I've got one more example for you. This one's on me. Now we're going to say the teacher needs to teach us. The teacher needs to teach us. We just used the teacher up here. So we'll put in la maestra. For the teacher, we're saying the teacher needs. Now the teacher, which subject pronoun could we replace that with? We could replace it with she, which is ella. Ella. And we'll find ella. We've got yo, tú, usted, él, ella, right there. So we're going to use the A ending after we remove the AR. La maestra necesita. To teach is enseñar. And we're saying to teach us, we are people. We deserve a personal a. A nosotros. I'll just space that better. The teacher needs to teach us. La maestra necesita enseñar a nosotros. Notice we conjugated necesitar, and then we don't put in K. No K. Nope. And put an infinitive verb that is not conjugated. So those are your options for how you can do these. You can use IK, which doesn't match up with any subject. We're not naming who has to do these things. We're just saying it is necessary to, and put in an infinitive verb, like usar, escuchar. Then we did tener que. We need to conjugate tener to match the subject. Now we are naming names and saying who has to do these things. It does mean to have to. Conjugate tener, put in que, and then the infinitive for what that person has to do. And then lastly, necesitar. We will conjugate necesitar and put an infinitive behind it. Notice we conjugated and then did not conjugate the second verb. Put an infinitive there and no K. If you have questions, please let me know. And remember that you need to look at my lesson plans online to figure out what 2 activities you need to do from the textbook to make up for missing class today. That's your participation points. 5 points there. And the homework assignment will also be listed on the lesson plan online. Gracias. And have a good one. Should say something in Spanish, right? Buenas noches.